Coming at you from New Jersey, the capital of misery, and the place where metal forgot to die. This is Here Lies Metal, the podcast that brings you the origins, history, and culture of everything metal. With our hosts, Maledictus and Samanthar. They shall be your overlords for today and all of eternity. Welcome.
Okay, sorry. Hi, welcome to another episode of the Here Lies Metal News. It's the news time. You know, we haven't done this in a while because there hasn't been any news. Just things have been going slow in this pandemic, I feel like.
I think we should view it as we have a high standard for news.
We do. No, we do.
could do this every day if we wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
We just open up Blabbermouth and read what's there.
Just some people do that. They're like, "This is news." Like, there's a lot of people that do what we do, and they're like, "This is news. This guy's coming out with a new album." It is not news, people. No one gives a fuck.
I mean, sometimes I care. I mean, I usually don't. If Blabbermouth's talking about it,
It is not worth making a video over.
No.
Some of our I don't want to call them competitors, but cohorts in this that we don't know, we'll literally just make a video on something that Boomermouth says. Like, just go to Boomermouth.
We do that.
It's stuff we like, though. It's only we only talk about stuff that we think is like funny or quirky or something we're really into. I think something that we're personally into. I think that's what really powers our news. But I'm not going to tell you every time like Slipknot comes out with a new album or when Corey Taylor does, unless it's completely ridiculous.
Well, since the Metal Archives doesn't consider Slipknot metal, we don't have to talk about it.
True, they're wise.
That's
for
how
that.
it works. That's how it works.
Hear that, Slipknot? You're not metal, Corey
Not
Taylor.
metal.
Sorry. Those guys say it, you're not. That's it. End of story. So, as usual, I just want to comment on a few. These people have. This is our page, by the way, people. If you haven't noticed, this is the Here Lies Metal Web YouTube site. What's going on here? So, is this guy on our side or not? Oh wait, is this a new one? You guys are really reaching what you put on this. Want the truth? Get a hold of Graves. I did get a hold of Graves himself, and it was fine. Okay, no problems. Okay, people, forget about this. Okay, it's over. No, why doesn't he conform? Look, he's doing the wreath. You know what that is when they do that? When these kind of guys do that, they go ree. You know that's like, that means like you're like a beta or something, and you go ree. They do like
that's the battle cry of 4chan.
Yeah, that's exactly. That's all that 4chan stuff. So he's saying we're like one of those people that go ree.
What is that? What video is that on?
That was probably from the Michael Graves video, I think, right? So let's just go on to our other things, because they're still talking about this Michael. People, for the last time, I talked to Michael Graves. We had a thing, and no, by the way, I'm not putting that video up. I had a comment the other day asking if I'm going to put that video up, and no, we're not going to put that video up. I had a private conversation with him. It's not for all of you to be entertained by. Yeah, it is what it is, and there's no more problem. We're not gonna do any more videos on him. So people, drop it, okay? So also, we did something on Buzzo, obviously, and I guess people didn't watch the video. We were completely defending Buzzo.
Big shock. People didn't watch the video.
Yeah, people
commented anyway.
You read the title, you looked at the picture, you're like, oh, these people want to cancel Buzzo because he was on Gavin McInnes. We were like, we understand he was on Gavin McInnes. He probably didn't know who Gavin McInnes was or give a shit, and it's not his fault, really. He shouldn't be canceled. And we said that because on like a lot of the Facebook sites I follow, a lot of like the stoner music, they all kind of wanted him canceled. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, suddenly you don't like the Melvins now because he appeared on Gavin McInnes like 13 years ago, whatever the fuck it was. Like, I don't, I
think we had a nuanced take.
It was nuanced.
It was certainly not canceling Buzzo, though.
Yeah, by all means. Like, he didn't know what he was doing.
It was being like, look, he is an asshole, but like,
yeah,
you can't cancel him. For that.
Yeah, he's kind of a grouch, but like whatever. Like, he's always been that way.
It's like, it's okay if he's an asshole. It really is. It's really okay.
Yeah, he's not Gavin McInnes, okay? Like, he just did a stupid thing, okay? Like, and some of you guys I know wanted him canceled. Nobody on here did, but some people on other sites that I follow were really going hard. And suddenly, like I said, the Melvins aren't cool anymore because he did that. It's like, yeah, okay, sure, guys. You usually obsess over them. Now suddenly you don't like them. So yeah, there's a lot of talk on that, and as usual, I just get a lot of shit on anything we talk about death metal. Trey Azagthoth, this is a funny one. He has a few sports cars, from my understanding. Okay, so Trey Azagthoth is obviously very well to do, and he has many sports cars, if you believe it. So all that money came through. So anyway, there's just some things I wanted to comment on. Just the usual shit though. It's usually something nasty about my Pat O'Brien video. Still, that was years ago. I mean, we gotta do an update on Pat O'Brien. What is he up to? Like, what is he doing? Like, is he?
Reach out to him.
Yeah. Why not? Why can't I just talk to Pat O'Brien? Maybe I should start talking to people. I know I'm nobody, but once in a while, people I think will talk to me. Hey, look, we have 150 subscribers. Look at that.
If you pretend you're somebody, that works a lot of the time.
Yeah, that's all you got to do. I think I used to do that with Monkey Goose. I used to just kind of like, they used to just think I'm somebody, and I think they used to just fall for it sometimes.
I think you felt like you had some authority,
yeah,
too, because it wasn't just you.
Yeah, obviously I wasn't the editor. I was just working for them. But, we had a website and everything.
You had an editor.
Yeah, we had a lot of articles going on. So it looked important, even though we absolutely were not important in any way. Like, nobody used to look at our shit. But yeah, people would think we're real. Like Alita Ford, like, totally, like, was talking about us and stuff once. She was like, oh, you guys are awesome. It's like, really? Does she know who we are? It's like, you're Alita Ford. It's like, you know, we're completely useless. So anyway, that was my
That's how you become somebody. You
that's
just
true.
gotta fake it.
Just
keep faking it.
That's really what life in America is all about. You just have to. That's how I've gotten through life, just by faking who I am. And I'm doing it right now, people. You think I'm maledictus for real? Am I really maledictus? I don't know. Am I really a metal guy? Or am I a jazz musician in disguise? You'll never know. So anyway, let's get on with, like, we have news, apparently. News of the world. So unfortunately, folks, sad to report, the guitar hero, the original guitar hero, this is the guy that made us all play guitar. Like, if you're my age, you saw that 1994 Jump video and you were like, what the fuck is that? You were a kid, and and I was just all about guitar after that, and it was because of this guy. And unfortunately, at 65 years old, he has lost his battle with cancer. Now, he's been sick for a while. We had mentioned before, actually, David Lee Roth. They had been interviewing David Lee Roth. We did a piece on this, that David Lee Roth was kind of concerned about Eddie's health, and we had commented on this, and how they probably weren't going to tour ever again. And yeah, unfortunately, David Lee Roth was unfortunately right about that. Eddie was definitely taking a turn for the worst, and he was reported by his son Wolfgang a few days ago on the 6th, I think, the 6th. Yeah, that he finally he did not make it. So that is very sad, and yeah, that's a major loss. That's this is a guy who, there's a pantheon of great guitarists. Your Jimi Hendrix, your whatever. I mean, most of them are actually still alive, actually. But like, think of the ones that are dead. Yeah, I'm thinking most of them are still alive, actually. Now that I think about it. But
all the great guitarists.
Yeah, most of them are still alive. Like the Richard Blackmore, Jimmy Page. Like, they're all still, all these guys that are notable. They're all kind of still alive, I think.
So when I'm thinking of that's dead.
Yeah, I mean,
he's more of a blues guitarist.
Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, you're Stevie Ray Vaughan. I was never into him, but yeah, he's definitely a notable guitarist.
Eric Clapton's still kicking.
Eric Clapton's still alive. So, yeah, like, most of them are, like, I think most of them are most of the really notable ones.
Still got Tony.
Yeah, all, like, the notable ones. I mean, there's a lot of really great ones that have died. That maybe their names aren't as big. But yeah, but the really, really major, super mainstream ones are all pretty much still alive. So Eddie Van Halen is, he's up there. And unfortunately, we lost him at only 65. That's so young. And some interesting facts about Eddie. He believed, he used to always see him smoking that cigarette, and he did that all the way up to 2016. He started vaping in, like, 2016. The guy was just a smoker. You'd always see him. He made that like putting the cigarette at the end of the guitar and the neck cool. You like, yeah, he puts it there, and unfortunately he made that shit. He made guitarists smoking look cool, which was not responsible in his, but they didn't know back then. Like, they weren't thinking, like, But anyway, Eddie did not believe he got lung cancer from. Well, he never had lung cancer. That's the thing. He never fucking had lung cancer. He doesn't believe he got cancer. It started with tongue cancer on his tongue. He does not believe it came from the smoking. He used to use metal picks, like they were made of copper or whatever, and he put them in his mouth. Like I like to put picks in my mouth too. And he claims the part of his tongue where he got cancer was where he used to keep the pick all the time. So who knows? Maybe there was some kind of chemical on that or something. Who knows? I mean, he knows. He's the one that did it. And, unfortunately, it spread to his throat and finally to his brain.
Maybe that's also where he put the cigarette.
Yeah, but usually you get lung cancer from somebody. You never know. I don't know about cancer. But interesting fact. That's one interesting fact. Another interesting fact, when they replaced David Lee Roth, I didn't know this. I learned this recently, that both Daryl Hall and Patty Smythe of Scandal were in line before Sammy Hagar, and they had to actually keep that silent because they didn't want Sammy Hagar to know he was like not the first pick. I guess they were interested in him. And think about Sammy Hagar; he's like 10 years older than them. So like they imagine like these young guys, like they're like, oh, we'll get this old guy from like the 70s singing. That was weird, man, because he's like this old man. And Daryl Hall and Patty Smythe are probably like more Van Halen's age at the time. And imagine Daryl Hall singing for. I love Hall and Oates; they're great. Or Patty Smythe.
That would have been great.
That would have been. I would
bet he was
loved
just
to see that.
Too intimidated to follow up.
Yeah, I think he
Diamond
was
Dave.
Yeah, like he's just, this isn't for me. And Patty Smythe, I don't know why I didn't get Patty Smythe. I mean, that would have been interesting too.
Direction.
It would have been very interesting. So, also, Gene Simmons is the one that discovered Van Halen. As Gene Simmons would probably let you know, he's like, I actually discovered them. It's all me. But he actually did. And he didn't want to sign them though. He didn't think like they were like, he'd always been very standoffish with them. There was actually a point where Eddie Van Halen, in the early 80s, he was having so much trouble with David Lee Roth, he wanted to stop Van Halen and join Kiss. Imagine, he wanted to replace Ace Frehley when Ace Frehley was being thrown out, and Gene Simmons was he was like, no, you can't. There's not enough room in you for Van Halen. And he's right, like, because Van Halen's like, he's a guy that moves forward. He's not a guy that takes orders. He's a leader, and Gene Simmons knows. He's like, listen, there's only 2 leaders in this band, and you can't be one of them. Like, it's not gonna work. And he's right. It wouldn't have worked. He's too good for Kiss. Like, Kiss needs a subordinate guitarist that obeys what Gene and Paul say. Like, that's how that business works. That's the way it's gonna work. And that's not gonna work with Eddie, who actually knows how to do stuff. So it's not gonna, they know that. So interesting story. And Eddie was obviously a notorious substance abuser, booze and cigarettes, and he got that from his dad, who was a saxophone. No, he was a clarinet player. He was a woodwind player. He was a somewhat famous woodwind player. And he's asked his dad, how do you remain so calm on stage? He's like, hey kid. He's like, his father was from Holland. He's probably like, oh, you'll put the cigarettes and the booze, and Eddie did that, and he's like, yeah, this works, man. So his dad got him into that. It was his father. How he, became a really bad substance abuser. So yeah, Eddie Van Halen just never gets old, man. And a lot of people, still get some people that write him off to be like, oh, he didn't do that much. But I used to think that, and I really started listening to Van Halen. I'm like, no, this guy did crazy shit with a guitar. And you could argue that it was Steve Hackett that invented the hammer-on, like that Eddie didn't, and that's arguable. Like Steve Hackett from Genesis, you can argue that, but that's not even where it starts or ends. I mean, Eddie did not only in work of like detuning guitars and doing all kinds of crazy shit. If you listen to Eddie Van Halen, he's like playing in drop C in like the 70s. Like, who the fuck did that back then? He's like playing crazy stuff. Also, and on top of that, he was also like a guitar modder and an amplifier modder. So it wasn't only about the music. He like would take guitars and just build them to his liking. He was one of the. That's why you have all these products now in his legacy. You have these EVH amps and guitars and a whole huge line of products, which I partake in myself because they're great products, that will last forever, with his name on them. EVH, with that EVH logo on it forever. EVH forever, 5150, everyone. So rest in peace, Eddie Van Halen. You were the greatest. And also, interesting fact, Mark Stone, I just saw this, I guess he was the original bass player for Van Halen, like obviously that unknown guy before Michael Anthony, just also passed away on September 26th. So he was actually like that other Van Halen guy that no one ever knew about. I just thought that was interesting because Van Halen is one of those bands that have been around since like the early 70s. So that's interesting. So
R.I.P. EVH.
R.I.P. EVH. That does suck. And incidentally, where's my mouse? Did my mouse freeze again? Stand by, everyone. There it is. So incidentally, as a result of it, and this happens usually all the time, Like you get all these people that are like, oh, Van Halen, that's a thing. So his albums sales, the plays, I guess, increased 6,000% on the day of his death. Album songs sold 40,000 copies on October 6th, with 9,000 of those just album sales. So even just the album sales, not even just plays on Spotify or anything, just like actual album sales. Top selling songs, all these obviously famous songs here: Jump, Panama, Eruption, Running with the Devil. I mean, I just, there's way better songs than this, I think. But
I mean, normal people like Van Halen.
Yeah. Van Halen is a very normie.
It is not niche.
Hard rock band. Yeah, and that's what made them great. Like, they were just the most normie hard rock band ever, and obviously they were a huge influence on all kinds of metal. Obviously, the Abbott brothers, Dimebag and Vinny, they were kind of like their own Eddie and Alex, like themselves. They were obviously worshippers of Van Halen. So many people are worshippers of Eddie, even though it wasn't metal. It just had an influence. It mostly had an influence on hair metal, you could say, too. It was a huge influence on what hair metal became, which is important.
I read that Dimebag was buried with one of Eddie's original guitars.
Yeah, what happened there is at his funeral, Eddie came to the funeral.
Is that nice?
Yeah, that was really something. And it was called Bumblebee. It was black, and it was had that Eddie Van Halen pattern, not that pattern that he invented. And he was gonna originally give Dimebag a replica of the guitar, but he gave him he put it in the casket with him, put it in his hands. Yeah, so that's everyone says that obviously as some as crazy as Eddie was, with his drugs and stuff, he was just like a really nice guy. He always had that grin when he played, that grin that he's always smiling. It just looks like he just made it look fun. Just made that thing look fun. He just made it fucking look cool. That's another thing. There's all the optics of Eddie Van Halen's. Those jumps he would do, those splits, a lot of cocaine, but there's a lot of that back then. It's not his fault. So yeah, that's a lot of music sales now. So yeah, that's Eddie. We'll always remember Eddie. Eddie was awesome. So yeah, goodbye, Eddie. What's this? By the way, those articles are from Boomer Mouth, by the way, obviously. This is from let's go here to our notes here. Brooklyn Soy Boy, I call him.
That's offensive.
What do you want to call them? What should we call them? I don't like vegan, okay? The vegan, what do you want to call them? Think of something. Should I call them Brooklyn Beta? That's offensive.
Brooklyn Beta.
What should I call them? Seriously.
I don't know.
We got to call them something.
We can just call them, what? It doesn't matter. Let's move on to the article.
The vegan part just offends me.
Brooklyn hipsters.
Maybe that's about neutral. Okay, I could have just thought of that. Okay,
Brooklyn asshole.
Brooklyn. Well, there's no need for that. I'm not saying they're assholes. I'm just saying they're just not as tough as the rest of us. Idle Hands has to change their name. You all know Idle Hands, right? They were opening for King Diamond last year,
yes.
2 years ago maybe.
Last year.
Last year, you probably saw them then. All you people, like King Diamond. So they were from Portland, Oregon, right?
Yes, they have one album and one EP under their belt. Their album was received to critical acclaim. Everyone loved it. They're up and coming. They're, they're like a rocket. They're like shooting up, but they have been waylaid here. We do not know
speed bump.
What exactly has caused this trademark dispute. There's a few things that could have, because Idle Hands, not the most original.
No, but
phrase.
But like to the point where it needs to be stopped. Like, obviously a lot of people have that name, but why does it need to be?
But this is the perils of becoming successful.
Yeah, it just seems so pointless.
Someone's gonna point at you and be like, "Hey."
The same thing happened with Ghost.
People are gonna notice what you're doing. That's the thing.
Yeah, the same thing happened with Ghost, but they got through it. They had to change it into AD for a while,
listen,
or BC, whatever.
Do not cross Tobias Forge.
Yeah, that's true. He does know how to fight. He tends to be good at fighting people in court.
He knows what to do.
He's also a Mason.
He's got his ass covered. He's a Freemason.
So yeah, there's some connections in there.
You gotta watch yourself, okay? These guys, these are just some nice boys from Portland.
These guys are innocent.
They're not, they can't defend themselves.
That's
so
true. They're not Masons.
They said that they tried. They did everything they could to try to keep the name, because obviously they do not want it. They have a shit ton of merch. They released, they're a new band. They've got name recognition at this point.
Right? You have a shirt. I got you. Did I get your shirt?
No.
Shirt? No.
No.
I didn't get your Idle Hands shirt.
Maybe. I don't know. I've got a lot of shirts.
I feel like I did. I feel like I got it. Anyway, that's obsolete now. So anyway,
you might maybe.
I did.
Anyway, I saw this on Instagram when they posted it. They're like, we've got a flash sale of all our merch, low prices, because now it's got all our old name on here.
I think that'll still be popular. They were cool shirts. They were cool designs. Why wouldn't
they
want
had
them?
some cool designs?
Yeah, I would buy
but
them.
they can't sell stuff with. I mean, I guess they can sell what they have, but they're not going to print any more things with the old name on it.
So you go to the show with that. Who's gonna be like, oh, that's not their name anymore? Like, no one's gonna care.
Yeah. So assuming these guys, stay on their path and become, pretty as big as you can get in the goth metal world.
Goth metal.
Goth post metal, perhaps. Having an original Idle Hands shirt is gonna be pretty cool, pretty neat. But yeah, buy their shit because I feel really bad for them.
Yeah, they had to do it because apparently a lot of people had. There wasn't just one thing. There was like a big deal.
They didn't announce like who was the conflict, who brought the suit or whatever. But it's such a common thing to name yourself that there was multiple things it could have been.
Idle hands. They say in World War II, idle hands work for Hitler. I don't know if that means anything to do with this, but it was always like a.
But
idle hands
related
work for the enemy. So, but as a result,
they have revealed their new name, and it is unto others.
Drum roll, dun 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 dun.
Unto others.
What do you think? What does that mean?
I don't love it. I'm not.
Unto others.
I'm not gonna lie.
Unto others. That's what it means. It means like unto you.
Well, obviously, like idle hands are like the devil's playthings. It's some kind of like an old aphorism.
Yeah.
Kind of has like biblical. Is that like a Bible thing? I
guess that's where it came from, right? Yeah, the Bible
and like
thing.
Do unto others is also another aphorism.
Are these guys Christian rock?
No, definitely not.
You'll never know who's Christian rock. You'll be surprised who's Christian rock.
I really don't think they are.
Okay.
So they toured with King Diamond.
So did Trouble.
They're not Christian rock.
Some said they were. Comment down below. Is Trouble Christian rock? Is Trouble really Christian rock? It's a controversy. Comment down below.
Because they have a psalm in one of their songs.
Yeah, and he says like he's all serious about that. That's a good. That's a fucking mean riff. The psalm, whatever the fuck it is.
So I can see how it's kind of like idle hands, and that it's like an old saying.
Yeah.
But I don't like it. It's got like this unto. Is that a?
Yeah, it's like a biblical.
It's like a preposition.
Do unto others as they do to thee.
It's awkward. It's
just not a.
It puts you off guard. You're like, what are you talking about?
I think you're staying in the same theme with that name, right?
Obviously that's what they're trying to do.
They shouldn't have to do that.
On the other hand, I could see that this is a very unique name. I'm sure there is no issue with copyright on this name. There's no issue with trademark.
Until someone, it's like, that's actually our name too.
No, I am 100% sure.
The people that own the Bible are gonna contact them.
I'm sure that after this last debacle, they've picked something that has absolutely no potential of
the copyright
dispute.
Holders of the Bible are going to contact them.
And no one else has named themselves unto others because it is a strange and uncomfortable name.
Yeah, it is. I wonder how they're going to put that in their logo. We'll see.
It looks exactly the same. I think if you scroll down, you can see it.
In the same. Let's see. Yep. No. What's that down there? Is that it?
There it is.
There it is. Yeah.
So it looks exactly the same. Like that's the same art.
Yeah, they made it
that they've used before.
Yeah.
They probably thought about that as well, like unto others, idle hands, similar length of words, so that when they had to redesign shit, like for any potential releases or anything, the name length of the band of even the words in the band name are the same. So I think that probably had something to do with it as well.
He kind of looks like Eric Wagner from Troll, like young Eric Wagner.
But yeah, I have to admit I do not love the new name.
Yeah,
but,
they have a song called "Puppy Love." What's with that?
They sing nice songs
about. The song is called
about love. They also sing sad songs
about the dragon and about
committing suicide.
Yeah, this is gothy. It's a little bit gothy.
They're goths, yeah, for sure.
A little bit gothy.
All right. Sorry, idle hands.
Yeah.
You are now
New
unto
shirts.
others.
They have to change all their things. Like imagine it's like changing. It's like when you change your name, you got to change. It's like the same thing. They have to change website and
I'm
shirts.
Sure, they've had to go through a lot of shit. So
the lawyers and it must have cost them a lot of money.
Unto others.
Unto others as they shall do to thee. Sounds like something Trouble would make. It really does. So anyway, Burton C. Bell of Fear Factory, he's been in this band since the late 80s, has left the band. Interesting story. Vocalist. Yeah, he's a guy with that
That's a big
voice.
deal when your original vocalist leaves the band.
Very distinct vocals. You'll know his very big sort of empty, hollow sound. You know that voice. Yeah, one of the first bands I ever saw in a club that wasn't like an arena was Fear Factory at Studio One in Newark, New Jersey in 1993, maybe. I went with Rich. Rich asked me, he's like, hey, you want to see Fear Factory? That was like our first date, I think.
Is that why you wanted to talk about this?
Yeah, it is.
Just talk about yourself?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes. I am more important than the news. Everyone knows that. Yeah, and it's one of the first shows I ever went to. I was at yeah. It was. I remember there was a whole bunch of bands playing. Studio One had like 4 floors of bands playing. Imagine that shit, 4 different floors. It is just a typical night. Shit was crazy back then. And the main stage, of course, was Fear Factory, but there was all these other small bands on the other stages. Yeah, those were the days. But yeah, due to just a lot of sort of like ongoing legal troubles. And by the way, Fear Factory was on the works of releasing a new album, with sort of under a GoFundMe.
Well, they'd apparently recorded one already.
It hasn't been
that was
released
just
yet.
On the back burner, but it was sidelined due to legal troubles that I don't understand what it was that was going on between the band members. I guess probably about who owns the band, really, or who is,
Yeah, I mean, these guys are really the original members of this band. Like, it's really kind of just them two. And, yeah, he's been in the band forever. And I saw they were touring, like, before all the shit went down. I remember, like, I would always see, like, posts on Facebook of them touring. They'd show a lot of pictures of them. Everything, you'd imagine that things are going well, but obviously things are not going well. So, yeah, this is really a big thing. Like, who would they possibly get to replace this guy? This is really just groundbreaking, just earth-shaking and in the Fear Factory timeline, But obviously, Burton C. Bell's has been working on another band for a long time, for maybe the past like almost 20 years. Ascension of the Watchers, and they had an upcoming record called
Apocrypha.
Why can't Fear Factory? Why can't anything Burton Bell's just be like a normal language? I will call it Apocrypha. Why can't? What does that even mean? His band is
called Ascension of the Watchers.
Like, why are you guys so like?
It's just who he is.
Why can't you just be like, yeah, it's called, like, why can't you be more like Fenriz?
Listen, people are
Fenriz
different.
Do this? They're just so.
Okay, we don't like this, but
you guys, it's like
there are obviously people who do.
It's like you guys are Dream Theater. You're like,
Anyway, this is gonna cause some ripples among the Fear Factory community.
Are you guys gonna give me nasty comments now?
I thought it was interesting that so what is it? Their guitarist
Dino
Cazares. He's he's kind of seems like a social media guy. He posts.
Yeah,
he makes posts.
Yeah, he does.
He had mentioned before he teased that there would be a new Fear Factory album in 2021.
Yeah.
And he mentioned, that he had won the legal battles over the name. So, and then he set up a GoFundMe for the new album. Now, it's not like these guys don't have a record deal. I think, what are they on? Nuclear Blast?
Are they on Blast now? Yeah, they're definitely major. They're
like,
Blast, but they're, definitely.
But apparently they ran out of funds to record their album, so he set up a GoFundMe.
What did you need to make this album that they didn't give you?
And then Burton, he made a post saying that he was not involved in the GoFundMe and he was not benefiting from the GoFundMe. It was not going to him.
So Dino Cazares spent all the money on a new Ferrari and he asked you for a GoFund for the album, for the actual album.
Dino later posted that, insisting that it was for the album and not for legal fees. Surely it's not for legal fees. Gotta believe me, it's not for legal fees.
Not at all. Sure. I fucking hate the whole record industry. All this shit. all this shit. By the way, these articles, to give credit, sorry, these are from the Corey Taylor News Network.
So yeah, but when Burton left the band, you pretty much said it was basically this Dino guy, and maybe anyone else who was involved in that lawsuit. Burton said, they stripped me of my band, they took away all my income. I still have my other band, Ascension of the Watchers. But yeah, I guess screw Dino Cazares.
Yeah, it seems like the instigator, but we don't know. It seems like it. Just from like looking at their, somehow I follow them on Facebook, and just looking at their posts, like Burton just seems like a very friendly guy, always taking pictures with the fans, like just this guy who's just in there with the fans.
I think if you click through on these articles, you'll see like some Instagram posts from Dino where he mentions all of his trials he's been through, and like, lawsuit which I won.
I won.
And my divorce. That was hard.
Which I won. He's like Donald Trump. He's like, well, my lawsuit, which I won.
It's like, dude's got a lot of shit going on.
Yeah. I think,
So.
I think Dino should stop spending so much money on food and put it more toward music.
That's not uncalled for.
I apologize, but.
You were soft.
Dino, you should maybe, it's good when you're on stage to look good, Can I say that? It's good to look good, and Burton looks good. He's an old man. He looks good. There's Burton. He looks good. He sings good still. He's got that, that voice that you all know. Yeah, I'm just saying, it's unappealing to be a heavy guy on stage. Okay, that's all I'm saying. And if you're fat out there and you're one of those people that leaves me nasty comments, fuck you. Stay fat. Okay. Anything else with this? He calls them departure of the dry lung vocal martyr. Is that what he calls them? That's a very good description, I think, of Burton C. He's got that voice, that very kind of voice. You know that voice. I can't reenact it, but it's a very unique voice. But if that's what he calls them, that's interesting. Anyway, yeah, so that's that. That's drama.
I wonder if the fans will stick by Fear Factory. I mean, I'm not a Fear Factory fan. I don't give a shit about this.
Yeah,
so.
I don't like industrial metal.
Interested. This is a classic.
Yeah.
Classic band.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's a band that's been around. Like I said, one of the first bands I ever saw. So yeah, I wonder, who will replace this guy? If it be anyone in that genre, someone else, who knows? Someone completely new, who knows? But this band is one of these bands that has these old fans that have always. Fear Factory isn't a group that gets new fans. Like they have this old just basket of fans that have been there since.
I feel like they're probably raising new fans because they have kids.
Yeah, maybe that, but
that's how they'll get new fans.
They're kind of like KMFDM in a way. Like they have that just weird base.
Like if you have the weird industrial metal dad, like you'll grow up with this.
Yeah, I guess so.
And it's like how I like Cream.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll never not like Cream.
That was just forced on you. I was never. I was like never raised any rock. I had to find it on my own or just find it through other kids. If I was just going what my dad did, it would be Mozart. And I
do you not like Mozart?
I appreciate Mozart now, but when I was a kid, I hated it because that's all that would be in the car. I'd be driving my dad, and it would just be Mozart, and I was like, I don't listen to rock. I'm like, that shit's garbage. That's garbage. That's what I'd hear. Didn't make me not like it though.
What would you say?
What?
He would say it's Tiny Talent.
Yeah. Okay. So I remember when I was driving me to school. A little story here. Sorry to go on a tangent. I was going to school, and somehow he was switching to the radio station. There was a radio back then, and a Black Sabbath song came out, and I was like, keep this, come on, Dad, keep this, and he kept it he wanted to listen to it too, kind of like how your dad, you would like listen to them and kind of make fun of him, like he was doing this, he was like, I listened to it, he was like, I think it was Iron Man or something. It went to that like drum part, and my father's like, it's Tiny Talent time, and I was very upset that he said that because. I was like, what is Tiny Talent time? I was like, what do you think? This is Black Sabbath.
He doesn't get it.
Yeah. I was like in high school. I was like, Black Sabbath is my only love. Yeah, so that's that, folks. So we'll keep you posted on any drama that develops in the Fear Factory world. What else do we got? Okay, this is important. Okay, now back to a real hero of music. Another person we lost this year, unfortunately. Texas Library to be named after late power trip vocalist Riley Gale. That's wonderful. What do we know about this?
So this library will be installed at the Dallas Hope Center. If you paid any attention to the announcements from Power Trip when Riley passed, they all mentioned, if you want to give money, please give to the Dallas Hope Center. And now with all this influx of cash I'm sure they got, their initiative is to build a library. And if you didn't know, the Dallas Hope Center is an LGBTQ center for, displaced young adults, who probably were thrown out of their house for being any of those letters. And now they're going to make a library.
Named after Riley.
Huh? And they're naming it after Riley.
Yeah, obviously Riley was known for his very progressive politics. And obviously it left a mark on this in Dallas. So yeah, so we remember Riley Gale, Like, did you ever have in high school you had a library named after someone that was like a teacher or something, this library named after Riley Gale. Like that's pretty cool. I'm in the Riley Gale library. People are like, who was Riley Gale? I'm like, you don't know? Like, listen to this. Now you know. It's amazing how far Riley Gale's influence went after he died. Maybe people not in metal didn't really know who he was, but I think he kind of just blew out of that like after he died. You had the guy from Fox News talking about him, for God's sakes.
Well, he was on that guy's podcast.
Yeah, obviously he knew him, but when he talks about it, then all these other people hear it. Like he's spreading all this shrapnel out to other people.
Yeah, but I don't think the Fox News guy got to the LGBTQ center.
No, he definitely wasn't, in that thing. Which is so weird. Someone like Greg Gutfield, who's such a douche on the air. I mean, obviously he's into good music and stuff, but he's just a douche on air. If you ever watch him, if you ever just watch his show, he's like the biggest douche ever. So I just can't, imagine,
I'm sure he's just like one of those guys. If you met him in person, he'd be fine.
Yeah, maybe that's just his act. Like when you're on TV, just like me here. Am I really like this?
Well,
yes.
I mean, maybe if you got him talking about the wrong thing in person, you'd be like, oh.
Maybe.
Like, oh.
Or maybe he's like totally left wing. He's like, I just do that for money, man. He's like, I don't
know
any of that shit. He's like, they pay me like fucking $1 million a year.
Like you could see say you met like, I don't know,
Tucker
Bill
Carlson.
O'Reilly in person.
That guy's probably
he'd probably be horrifying.
That guy's probably an asshole. There's no way that guy is
meet
not
Greg
an asshole.
Gutfield in person, he won't be an asshole. So maybe that,
Maybe. He's like, hey, how you doing? He's like, yeah, I like, cool music.
I trust Riley if he...
That's true.
Like
if Riley of all, and we don't, obviously Riley was a friendly guy, but, but a lot of people were friends with Greg Gutfield, like Oderus Urungus was friends, like they
yeah, like I think that speaks to it, is that like...
That's true.
If you're someone who's not going to say like, oh, you have these political views,
yeah.
I will not talk to you.
Yeah.
Then obviously you wouldn't talk to Greg Gutfield. But if you're not someone like that, you're like, okay, this guy is personable, and I'm, and he does, and obviously Greg Gutfield, he'll talk to people who don't share his views as well.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
you have two people like that meet.
Yeah.
They have a conversation.
Yeah.
When Riley was on his podcast, they mostly talked about psychedelic drugs.
Yeah, which but there you go. Like you'd be surprised what that guy can talk about. Fox News is a strange place for strange people. So another shout out to Riley Gale, and glad that his memory lives on, and hopefully his memory is spread out to more things than just this.
I believe
all over.
They said that they're seeking donations for books.
There you go.
So send your
books. Do people still read books? I guess they do.
Someone's got to get the Rob Halford book out.
Yes, the Rob Halford book will be featured there. It'd be very appropriately. Very appropriately featured there. Yeah. All right. So, so rock on, Riley Gale. So forever. And finally, what is this? What is this ridiculousness? Heavy metal is being used as propaganda in the Middle East. So as you know right now, if you follow news, this probably isn't really in the news because
there's so much shit going on.
Yeah,
and it's not touching the American news.
Even if there wasn't, they just kind of ignore shit like this. But this is a serious thing. System of a Down will let you know this is happening. Trust me. Just go on their Twitter or anything. I'm sure the guy is telling know. There's a violent clash between Armenia and Azerbaijan. This is a historical conflict. This is erupted, flared up in the
ancient.
Yeah, it just goes on a very long way. Several 100 million deaths being recorded so far. And the Azerbaijani military released a heavy metal song featuring all their Soviet hardware.
And Azerbaijan are clashing on a disputed territory that is apparently ethnically Armenian, but is cut off from the rest of Armenia through disputed territory. And the conflict has erupted, and notably Azerbaijan has support from Turkey.
Yeah, and obviously, as you know, you don't need to listen to System. If you have to listen to System of a Down to know about this, you're really dumb. But there was obviously a massacre, a genocide. The word genocide, I believe, came from this the Armenian people in the early 1900s. I mean, just 1915. So, and this really just goes back to all the conflict in that area. So, but yeah, obviously System of a Down is mentioned this because they're very vocal about, their disdain for the Turkish government and, their treatment and their denial of the Armenian genocide. So, yeah, it's all legit stuff. I always just like, this notion comes from the suffering and injustice done over centuries around denialist Turkey is continuing to work for the genocidal ancestors and allied with petrol corrupt Azerbaijans and are firing American-made F-16 missiles into. So it's like the Americans are supplying these people. It's true, they are. The Americans are absolutely supplying. Well, Turkey's a NATO nation. So
tell it's System of a Down.
Yeah, so they're gonna let you know.
Well,
like he's gonna.
Except I'm sure the drummer's not involved.
No, and he's like, what? He's like, what? No, well, he couldn't deny his Armenian heritage. Like, as conservative or whatever as that guy is, he couldn't deny this. Like, he's gonna draw the line here.
I'd be interested to
Unless
know.
he's a self-fucking hating. There's no.
Are they all Armenian?
Yes.
100%.
Yes, two of them are brothers, and they're all Armenian. Yeah, they're all from like LA. It's crazy Armenians from LA. But yeah, like they were the first Christian nation, as they say. Yeah, so obviously they're very political about that, but I don't think I don't think there's such thing as a self-hating Armenian. I know for a while an unaware Armenian, my friend Gary, who was really unaware of this stuff. I had known more about these things than him, but finally he saw some movies with his sister, and it just changed him. He was like, "Oh my God!" He's like, "This is what." I'm like, "Yeah, that's what happened."
Well,
yeah,
this isn't taught in school.
It isn't. It isn't taught in school. This is like millions of people were killed in this or whatever, and this is not. This is like well, anyway. So I think there's definitely some politics about being that Turkey is our ally, and they were from very important NATO members.
I think it's more just the Eurocentrism of the education, because this is Armenia. I mean, they are white in Armenia, but like
they're kind of. I mean, they're white.
It's like they're like right on the border of the Middle East. There, it's like a crossroads area.
Yeah, everything kind of comes together. Caspian Sea area over there.
Because it involved Turkey, I feel like it became more of a Middle East issue, and that's just not covered in American schools.
Yeah, there's always been conflict going on in that area. So. We won't watch.
But yes, this video, there's a very ridiculous video. It's kind of exactly what you think it would be.
Very little bit. Let's just watch. I'll keep the sound low. I'll keep the sound low because I don't want to get like a thing. Now, I don't think this is gonna come. Look at this. Like, this is our dictator. He's awesome. This is also like Soviet hardware here.
I mean, it's not a good song.
No, but it's it's their. They probably really dig it though. Look at our look at we got women in our military too.
Azerbaijani youth, come die for this small section of land that is ethnically Armenian. We must own it.
She's like, we will take it.
All right, we're gonna get in trouble with all the Azerbaijanis.
The other day, we don't want that. We don't want that. We don't want to get involved in this kind. Let's see some tanks. Show me some tanks. Show me some tanks. Show me some fucking tanks. No, I want to see the tank. Look, these are our people. Where's like the tanks blowing? There you go. The Su-25 fighters, SAM missiles. Look at all these weapons we have.
Heavy metal. This is what metal is.
This is all Soviet hardware.
Anyway, I think clearly System of a Down needs to produce some sort of song.
Yes, counter this.
I mean, I don't think they're the type to get involved into a military. I don't think they're pro-military conflict, so that I don't think System of a Down is pro-military. Most of them are pro-military conflict. No. So, like, they're not going to make a propaganda song for the Armenian military, but, like, they should do something.
I think Serge could totally, like, troll this. He's good at that. Like, he's good at making...
I would like to see that.
Yeah,
I would like to see that.
He can totally do that. I got to give you guys, credit for trying, guys.
Are we doing trench warfare? What is this?
They're like, who's it? Like, look at what it said. Like, not that this is good, but it said like 100 people died. It doesn't look. It's not like a fucking crazy war. Like 100 people died is not good.
It can escalate though.
But yeah, I guess it could. But it's not like mass brutal like fucking shit. It's like, oh yeah, you guys over there, blah blah blah.
Listen, we don't want Turkey doing shit.
Yeah, they're kind of they got kind of a leader that's like, oh,
All right, it's not a political podcast.
Yeah, we promise not to get political. Hopefully, you guys won't give me the bad comments about this. I don't know. I'm sure you guys will figure out some way to. You guys are probably not.
We're gonna wade into.
I feel like the guys that comment are not really into this stuff. They probably couldn't give a fuck about this stuff. They're worried about Michael Graves being a Proud Boy. That offends them. The fact that we made fun of him being a Proud Boy. I don't think they're going to like this. Probably does not really. I can't imagine they care about this stuff. This is a little too foreign for them. It smells too weird for them, Yeah, so that was also by the Corey Taylor News Network, by the way. So, obviously it's a pretty mainstream article. Yeah, so that's about the news today, folks, isn't it? That's it. That's everything. That's what's happened. When more news happens, we're not making these news episodes on a regular basis because there's no obviously the thing that really made me do the news is when Eddie Van Halen died. I was like, all right, we got to do news now. Eddie Van Halen fucking died. We got to fucking do news. Like, even if it was just that would, would have been more than enough. So, yeah, folks. So, once again, thank you for listening to the Here Lies Metal Podcast news show. What do I usually say during this part? It doesn't even fucking matter. None of that matters. How did I end that? I don't even care. What did I usually say? I don't have the script. It doesn't matter.
Well,
it doesn't
you
matter.
used to say, "Don't forget to rate us."
Don't forget to hate us, even if you rate us.
But we don't have rating anymore.
Yeah, we don't use that thing anymore. We don't use the stuff is still on Spotify, but those are all like old episodes. Like, we're not gonna really add to that because there's no reason to. We're gonna do everything here now. So yeah, but hit the bell, right? And then comment, nasty comments as usual, downvotes as usual,
upvotes.
How about an upvote? Just hit the other one.
Maybe you're feeling like an upvote today.
It doesn't hurt to hit this instead of this, this instead of this. And the ring the bell, right? And just to subscribe. We have 150 subscribers. Is it 150? Would you believe that shit? That's so many subscribers.
I wouldn't subscribe to this.
I wouldn't either. I wouldn't subscribe to this. I wouldn't watch this. I don't watch anyone.
I would watch it sometimes.
I don't watch like really good people. Like, I don't watch like Rageaholic. And he's good, even though you might not agree with his politics. He does a good show. You have to admit that. He does a really good show. And yeah, I don't really watch him. Like, but yeah. So, watch if you do I anger you? That's good, right? You like hate porn, right? So watch me. Yeah, so that's it. I used to have this other thing I used to do with my friends. We used to do like a gaming thing. It was called Monster Closet, and we had like no subscribers. And I used to work super hard on that show. I don't do half the shit as much as this. And look, we have 150 subscribers. So there are people that have less than us. There are people with less than us. There are people with a lot more than us, but there are people with less than us. So we must be grateful. I am grateful for 150 subscribers. I'm grateful for all of you. Most of you probably just watch this to hate me. But whatever I could do for you, however I can help. Comment down below. What do you think about this show? All right, so folks, that's the news for today. We'll see you soon with more news, more reviews. This is Here Lies Metal. Good night.